It is clear that these crises are journalistic at their very roots, yet you're not a journalist. Are you really the man to be in charge?
Well, I think I can lead the BBC at this point. The key here is absolutely to have a very clear line of journalistic control to me. It's worth saying that I have run a big editorial of the area of the BBC for the last 4 years, but really this is about establishing clear lines of responsibility in our journalism and delivering the output we trust, and I think I'm in a good position to do that.
But the buck stops at your desk as editor-in-chief, as we saw with George Entwistle. We know that the decision about Newsnight a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago, he says it did not end up on his desk. Presumably such big calls would now end up on yours, and they look at you and say, DG, yes or no? Do you have the editorial experience to make that call?
Well, I've been making those calls as head of audio music for a number of years. So that is how the system works at the BBC. If you're a leader of an editorial division, and certainly as Director General, that is my job. And absolutely I expect to be making those calls.
But that's the point. I mean, head of audio and music. Head of audio and music, you're making calls about playlists, about Jonathan Ross and Andrew Sachs. I mean, this is very different.
Yeah, I think there was a little more to it than that. We had Radio 4, we had numerous things in terms of investigations, other things going on under my watch. But look, what I've done is, over the last day or two, and it's been a busy day, we've really got to work on getting grip in the BBC. It's been a really troublesome time. And my job has to be get a simple organisation in place that can deliver the trusted journalism you're talking about, and take action. And that's what I'm here to do. And frankly, I've been given the job. That's what I'm going to do.
OK, but are you running short of personnel as you make those, continuing to make those editorial controls? We want to see BBC journalism continuing to function as effectively as it can. But you've got so many people either stood aside, being investigated, digging out emails. Can they run things on a day-to-day basis? Who is advising you?
Well, I think we've got, and this is the announcement today, I think we've still got a set of very strong people who have got decades of journalistic experience. The key thing that I found going in yesterday and looking at this, somewhat, with a deliberately external lens and looking from a more kind of broader learnings from, corporate life, is one thing I don't like is where you've got messy decision-making, lack of clarity. And the thing I've put in place, and we've got individuals in the jobs, and I won't go through all the names, but we've got individuals in those jobs.
It might be helpful if you did.
Well, every individual, whether it's Fran Unsworth, who's now running news, these are people who have run big chunks of news output, have delivered thousands of hours of first-class broadcasting. You've got to remember the BBC has built trust in a time when many organisations have lost trust. Now, we've had a major problem over the last few weeks. I need to grip that. But the people I'm putting in charge are absolutely trust, and they are very, very strong journalists.
Just let me ask you about that Newsnight report. Presumably you didn't see it go out.
No, I didn't see it live. I've watched it since. OK,
right. You didn't see it go out. You didn't know it was going to go out. Same questions, I suppose, that were put to George Entwistle. But you had no knowledge of the tweet?
No, but with the best will in the world, as I said, the Director General at the time has taken action and honourably resigned on the basis of that.
But you are I was not
doing that job at the time.
You're a senior executive at the BBC. We all know what had happened after Savile. You were meant not to be asleep at the wheel, but you too had no knowledge. Who did know about it?
I know, but the thing I'm trying to say, Dermot, is as I grip this situation, one of the learnings is actually you just need one clear line of referral. So having lots of people know about a decision doesn't seem to me the way, and I think you'd recognise this, is it doesn't seem the way to get a strong journalist organisation to function. The decision I've made and taken action on is actually quite the reverse of getting lots of people involved in the decision. It's been to establish a chain of command in news, and we've done that over the last hours to ensure that there's actually a single chain of command. If you were sitting here on the other, we could be on the other side of this debate and say there were lots of people involved in the decision. That I don't think is the way to do business.
But the problem is that it seems to be you're cobbling together this new management from those that are already there, and they're your colleagues and they're your friends, I suspect. Are you really the man who's able to deal with this kind of mess?
I absolutely don't see it as cobbling together. I mean, if you take Kerry Thomas, who's going to take Deputy Head of News, he's been for many years delivering flawless broadcasting as editor of the Today programme. This is not about lightweight candidates. You know, BBC News is too important for that, Dermot. We need to build the trust, and that's what I'm going to do. And certainly I don't think we've got a lightweight lineup. Quite the reverse, actually. I think we've got an incredibly strong set of people, and we've got also hundreds of people in BBC News of the highest quality, and they will continue to deliver. And that's what I'm here to get done.
Just tell me a bit about your predecessor. Why do you feel he had to go? Did he have to go because he was incompetent or because he was no good at handling the media?
Well, no, I think at the end of the day, George was a very honourable man, and the reason he resigned, he told you. You don't need me to tell you. He told you. He felt the editorial failings on his watch meant it was difficult for him as editor-in-chief to remain. That, and frankly, it's not always the case that, as a man from corporate life and the outside world, it's not always that CEOs take those brave, simple decisions. George did that. That's what happened.
But you're saying not really his fault, but he did the honourable thing?
No, as editor-in-chief, you take responsibility of the output.
So it was his fault?
Sorry?
So it was his fault?
Yeah,
so
as
he was
editor-in-chief, you are responsible. No, what I'm saying is he has taken responsibility. These are questions for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will go now because I've got a lot to do.
Okay.
The BBC is taking action. That's what we're going to do. I've got a job and I'm going to get on with it. Thank you, Dermot.
Well, are more heads going to roll, Mr Davey?
Thank you.
Well, there we are. Tim Davey ending his interview there with Sky News. Bet he wouldn't do that to the BBC.